Hello, everyone. My name is Garrett Morales. Joining me today is Robert Harrell, Ambrielle Whitaker, and Tanner McBurney. And today we'll be discussing the chemical analysis of Fresno State's 2017 Petite Sirah. So a little bit of background information about Fresno State's Petite Sirah. We met with Fresno State's winemaker, Mr. Tom Montgomery, to go over the processes involved of the student-run winery here at Fresno State. The grapes were sourced from the Fresno State vineyard in which they're harvested at roughly 25 Brix. In the beginning of the winemaking process, there was a heavy acid addition in order to create the ideal environment for the yeast. The fermentation takes place in stainless steel tanks, and 0.5 part per million of copper is added in order to combat the negative effects of reduction. Now, once the wine goes dry, it is then inoculated in order to undergo malolactic fermentation, and then it is aged in oak barrels for approximately 18 months. Now, once all these processes are finished, the wine is bottled, and then it is sold at the Gibson Farm Market for $14.95.
Okay, I'm going to be going over the chemical evaluation of this wine. So as Garrett said, this wine went through heavy acid additions to bring its pH down to 3.69 and its TA up to 6.83. pH is particularly important because too high of a pH can allow undesirable microbes to grow in the wine. Acid's also important in the wine because it adds a sour and tart characteristic. The acid addition was done with tartaric acid, which is the most prominent acid in wine. The early addition brought the tartaric acid concentration to 2.3 grams per liter, and the malic acid is at 0 grams per liter, and that's due to this wine undergoing malolactic fermentation. So moving on to SO2. SO2 is important in the winemaking process because it acts as an antioxidant and has antimicrobial properties. The free SO2 came in at 13 parts per million, and the total SO2 came in at 94 parts per million. So finally, the alcohol came out just under 14% at 13.84%. And the alcohol is produced during fermentation and contributes both to mouthfeel and flavor of the wine. Now I'm going to pass it over to Robert to talk about the color and appearance.
So the first thing we looked at was the wine color density. This is a measurement of the different chemical compounds in the wine that are contributing to the color. We got 6.83 absorption units, and this is pretty typical for a red wine. Next, we looked at the wine color hue, and the wine color hue is a number that's related to the tint of wine, which changes as the wine ages. It'll be about 0.4 for a new, freshly fermented red wine and gets closer to 1 as it ages. Our value of 0.8 is typical for an aged red wine, which is what we would expect for our 2017 Petite Sirah. Next, we looked at total red pigments. This is a measurement of the compounds in the wine that might contribute to color, but not all of them may be active at the pH of the wine. We got 12.2 absorbance units. This is also fairly typical. And next, we looked at SO2 resistant pigments. This is a measurement of the most stable color pigments that will help the wine hold its color as it ages. We got 2.5 absorbance units for that. And next, we took an actual look at the wine to see what all these numbers mean. And we found that the wine has a very deep, almost black color at the center, and it lightens up on the edges to reveal a ruby color, and it has a medium to low viscosity. And now Ambrielle will talk about the taste and the aromas that we got from the wines.
Thanks, Robert. So as he was saying, is we all did a sensory evaluation as a team. We went over the aroma and the flavor of the wine. So on the nose, we're getting a medium high intensity, some pomegranate, black cherry, and plum with hints of bell pepper. Pretty smoky from the barrels when it was aged in the barrels, but no earthy notes. On the palate, we're getting pretty dry for the sweetness, medium high acidity, about a medium tannin, and medium low body. You will get descriptors of fig, plum, oak, dried cherries, and cranberry raisins. This wine pairs really well with roasted pork, barbecue meats, spicy bean or meat chili. As you can see, we have a menu here of an example that pairs really well with a Petite Sirah, so we can do chili spice burgers or a beef stew, for example.
So a couple acknowledgements we would like to make. We'd like to thank Dr. Sun of Fresno State for giving us access to all the instruments necessary for us to conduct these tests. We'd also like to thank the Fresno State winemaker, Mr. Tom Montgomery, for teaching us about all the processes involved in the student-run winery. Thanks again for watching. We hope you enjoyed.